Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast, episode number 1392. And as you can see, Nicole is back with us. Yay! After a few challenges the last couple of weeks, she is here. Woo, 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 woo. Welcome back, Nicole. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm just going to laugh because, sometimes life throws us curveballs and we just readjust, right?
Yep. We just take a mighty old swing at those curveballs and hit them out of the ballpark.
That's right.
So what topic are we talking about this month?
I think we're talking about summer tips, health tips.
Summer health. Well, I tell you this much. It's currently like 99 degrees, maybe 100 outside right now.
Oh, holy moly, that's hot.
And I'm in the RV where we're sitting at 77.
Wow. I don't even know. Let's see. I don't even know it's not very hot here today. It's only 67 degrees right now in California, Southern California.
Yeah. Well, if it didn't cost so much to live there, I would be there.
Yeah, we have for the next 10 days, it's all in the 70s. So, but that doesn't mean then all of a sudden we're going to have 90 and, 100 degree days before we know it. So,
yes. So summer's around the corner. Well, summer is, for those here in Arizona, summer's here.
Right. And summer is really around the corner. It's almost June, and that's when people start, as soon as kids start getting out of school, the end of May, beginning of June, that's really in our minds, summer, right? Even though summer doesn't technically begin until
Well, this weekend is Memorial Weekend, and most people consider that the beginning of summer.
Exactly. So
and then the end of summer is Labor Weekend in September. So
that's right. So let's talk about a few things. I think one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to summer health tips is let's talk about water.
Yes, I have lots.
You have lots? That's good. So I just went to a conference and I learned something new about water. You can teach an old dog new tricks. And so I learned quite a bit in those last week. But I actually use a Kangen water system at home. And so my water is filtered and, it's alkaline and all of that good stuff. But I learned that in regular bottled water, there are over 24,000 contaminants in bottled water.
Oh.
Yes. And so if you were to buy bottled water, you should buy distilled water because there are no contaminants in the distilled water versus regular bottled water.
Interesting,
right? So I was like, oh my goodness. So, but drinking water. So it's super important that we stay hydrated all year round, but especially in the heat. So we always say to drink half your body weight in water in ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you drink 75 ounces of water a day. Okay. That gives you kind of that guideline. And then I always say to add a little bit of mineral salt, like either some sea salt or some pink Himalayan salt. You can just put a little bit in your water and that gives you the trace minerals. It's like electrolytes. It's like drinking natural Gatorade. So it's really great for you when you're out in the sun. So, and outside, because, we think of summer of doing outdoor activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So drinking water is probably the most important thing. So if you're spending some days outside in the sun, definitely, maybe do a little bit more water than you normally would, maybe about 10 to 20% more, because we do get hot and we get sweaty and, more of that's coming out of our pores. So you do want to bump up your intake a little bit more during the summertime. The second thing I think is super important is sunscreen. So I do suggest there's a great website, ewg.org. That's the environmentalworkinggroup.org.
Yep.
And it's a great website to look at things that are non-toxic to your body, right? We don't want to add more toxins into our bodies. So you can go on there and under the beauty section, you can look and see our health and wellness. You can see what sunscreens are better for us than other that have less toxins in them.
I
But
always
we,
hate the smell and the stickiness of them.
yeah, well, there's the
It's
natural ones don't
disgusting.
have that smell because it doesn't have all that those crazy ingredients. So definitely we want to be wearing sunscreen in the summer. And if not, there's no reason not to. Even like mineral makeup has sunscreen in it now. There's things you can do to protect your skin, wearing a big floppy hat when you're out at the beach to make sure you're not getting those extra rays on you. But here's an interesting thing that you don't really hear about in the summer. Even though you're outside and you're soaking up the sun, most Americans have super low vitamin D. And even though you're out in the sun, vitamin D doesn't always penetrate into us as much as it used to be because now we have a thing called an ozone layer, right? So I always tell people, even in the summertime, it's really important to still take your vitamin. I suggest a vitamin D3 because it
Oh,
has K in it as well.
which reminds me, I
And
haven't taken mine today.
there you go. And so continue taking your vitamin D in the summertime because we still need to keep our D levels up. When we keep our D levels up, it helps manage our stress, it helps keep our immune system calm and happy. And then, it leads us all into the year, into fall, when people start getting all kinds of fall and winter, when they start getting flus and all that stuff,
Hmm.
if their immune system isn't, prepared. But if we keep taking that D throughout the summertime, it's going to help keep your immune system strong. So when flu and cold season comes back around, your body's going to be like well equipped and prepared to fight off all of those things. Gonna make so drink lots of water, wear sunscreen, and keep taking your vitamin D. Those would be my top 3 summer tips.
Now, other ways that we can get water in our system would be things like watermelon. I love on
Uh,
hot days when I'm, especially in the afternoons, because that's usually when I'm working the most is in the afternoons. And sitting here in this RV in almost 80-degree weather, it's you get so tired. And but having fresh watermelon in the refrigerator and cutting slices of that, and I just take it like a 10-minute break and go and stand over the sink and just munch up as much of that as I can. It is so refreshing and reviving to have
yeah.
that. So I love having like watermelon in the fridge just for that reason. Ooh,
Yeah, it's
I
super
never put it
yummy.
on my list.
I just made a grocery list and actually watermelon is on my list too. It's super refreshing. You guys, you can also put it in the blender and make a watermelon drink out of it.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, like a watermelon fresca. That's always a good thing to drink. And then, if you're going to drink watermelon's a great fruit juice to drink. If you're drinking other fruit juices, just be careful in summer that you're not eating too many sugars.
Yeah.
Things like corn, um, Gatorades, that kind of stuff puts a lot of extra sugar in our body. And I know most of you want to be like, you know, in good shape for bikini weather, but I'm not the gal who ever wears a bikini. I do wear shorts though, and I do wear a bathing suit, but not the bikini, I have to tell you. And so, you don't want to add those extra hidden sugars and extra sugars into your body, especially in the summer. So, because guess what? It'll just make you a little bit more dehydrated as well. So, eat fresh fruits, eat lots of fresh. This is a great time to eat lots of healthy salads.
Oh, I love salads in the summertime, especially in the RV, because it's so hot in here. I don't want to be cooking.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
use the microwave except for as a pantry. Um, I'm not putting the gas cooker on. I'm sorry, that's just too hot. But I do have my George Foreman grill and my air fryer. But even then, sometimes it's just like it's just too hot and I'm just too lethargic to even
And
do that.
this,
So that's when I get the broccoli sauce and the spinach and mix them together and
I'm
throw
so
some
glad
fruit
you
on
brought up
top.
grilling because so many people grill during the summertime because it's
Mhm.
nice outside. This is a great time to grill as well. And here's the thing, when you grill, add some extra chicken or add some extra beef or add some extra whatever onto the grill because it's great proteins to add to salads for your lunch or dinner.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure you get enough protein into your body. Protein is such a great source of energy for you. It helps keep you lean. It helps your muscles. And guess what? It even helps your brain. So studies are showing that the more meat you eat, the more it controls your emotions.
Oh,
How
interesting.
interesting is that? It
I
helps balance
love my
your
meat.
emotions. So I'm going to say eat meat. And by meat, that means any kind of seafood, wild caught salmon, grass fed
Without the
beef.
coloring added.
What?
Without the color, because there's
Without the
times I get
coloring.
wild caught salmon and I have to be careful because a lot of times they put color into it. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, we don't need color. It doesn't have to be that hot salmon color. It can be light salmon color. That's fine too. And so you want to eat the like the natural wild caught stuff, fish. You want to eat grass fed beef, uncured bacon, uncured pork is great for you. Organic chickens. So we want to keep a lot of the hormones out of our food. So. And here's the thing, a lot of people say it's more expensive. Well, it's interesting. When you eat healthier foods, you actually eat less of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually more dense and you actually get filled up a little bit more. So that extra dollar a pound, you're actually eating a little bit less anyhow. So it all balances out.
So
So,
here's a question for you. I was watching some video on something the other day, and they were talking about eggs, and
okay.
they're talking about and because most of them are they say free range, but they're still grain fed, like they feed them corn.
Right.
It has a lot of GMOs in it. But they said the ones that you want to go for are the ones that are pasture raised
Yes.
because they're
Yes.
outside. They're eating not just the grain that's given to them; they're also eating the grass and other bits and pieces in the soil and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was looking, and I know it's a lot more expensive to get those eggs, but I have to tell you, they taste a lot different than the other eggs do.
They
Because
do.
I've never had pasture fed eggs. Well, maybe I did in New Zealand because over here the eggs tasted like didn't have a lot of flavor like the ones in New Zealand, and these ones kind of taste like the ones in New Zealand. So
Yeah,
yeah.
pasture raised eggs taste so different, or farm fresh eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if you go to, like I go down the street, it's a few miles away. I go, there's like two egg places. They're just farms, and their chickens are, pasture raised chickens,
Mm-hmm.
and so their eggs are amazing. So the yolks are a little bit more golden and not as yellow. They're almost an
The orange.
orange, and they just taste really really yummy. So I recommend people eat eggs 2-3 times a week. Eggs are so healthy for us. There's a lot of myth around only eating the egg white. The yolk is where most of the nutrition is. And for those of you that are worried about cholesterol, let's have a conversation, because cholesterol is not always about food. So you can reach me through my website. But high cholesterol, it is a myth that it is always about food. So oftentimes, if you have high cholesterol, it's actually tied into either blood sugars or autoimmune symptoms, or even your hormones can make your cholesterol off balance.
Interesting.
And so when doctors say, oh, your cholesterol's high, you need to stop eating the processed foods, I'm going to agree with the doctor about eating the processed foods, because there's a lot of plethora of things those can do for you. But it is just an absolute myth that eggs cause high cholesterol.
I always love having hard boiled eggs in the refrigerator, and I will take out my Instapot, and my Instapot will hard boil 12 eggs at a time. And so I'll put a dozen of eggs in there and cook them up, and it doesn't take that long. And then put them into the ice bath afterwards, and then put them in the refrigerator. And I will tell you this: that for a snack, when you're in the middle of the day and you're like, oh, I just need a snack. What have I got? I got eggs. Excellent. Crack it open, and but I will tell you this: Zeffy hears that egg cracking, boom, she's right there in front of me. Like, where's mine?
Eggs are a great source of protein, and like I
Yeah.
said, the more protein we have, um, the more we control our emotions. So there's a lot of studies that are being done about protein and your brain, and how it controls emotion, including things like ADD, ADHD, dementia, Alzheimer's. There's a lot of studies being done right now about protein and how it affects our brains. So pretty
Nice.
exciting. Yeah, I get excited about that. So I have the Alzheimer's gene, so I'm always like really paying attention to brain health, because of course I'm going to do everything I can to keep my gene turned off, because I do not want Alzheimer's. So, I'm pretty, I stay on top of that pretty closely. So, you know. I want to keep all my faculties as long as I can.
Let's go check my DNA testing because I know I've got the health one in there, and I've got to go check the Alzheimer's one because I've had my two grandmothers have both had dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah, mine did too, and mine's really a high risk, and like I said, I just know that I know how to keep it turned off, and so as long as I know how to keep it turned off, then I don't have to worry about it every day. So my saying for me is, as sad as it, we just had a little earthquake here. Yeah, the ground is shaking. No grain for my brain, so that's how I remember, like, because gluten they have found is really, people that have dementia and Alzheimer's, um, gluten really affects your brain, and so those that are truly high risk for Alzheimer's should limit their grain intake. So I'm
Now,
not gluten.
now, how is grains determined? Is defined? What's defined as a grain?
What's defined as a grain? So
Yeah.
that's
Oh, is that the right word? No. So when you say grains,
right. Gluten, mostly
Okay.
gluten.
Mostly gluten.
Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing: oats imitate gluten in your diet, and so your brain doesn't know the difference. So the other thing is hops. So if you have an Alzheimer's gene, hops is another one that you need to stay away from.
And isn't
So
hops the main ingredient in beer?
yes, you can't drink beer. So you have to learn to drink wine or vodka or rum, or if you're a drinker, you have to go to some of the alternative things.
That's right. I don't drink. I mainly drink water or herbal tea, so I'm
So
good.
it's like barley, rye, oats. Um, there's a lot of controversy as is oats gluten free. Yes, you'll see gluten free oats, but like I said, they mimic grain in your body. So do I eat oats? Yeah, sure. Once in a while, I'll have something with oatmeal, or God, I can't turn down an oatmeal cookie every once in a while. Oatmeal raisin cookie.
Oatmeal and raisin. Oh yes.
Yeah, they're the best, right? But it's a treat. Like when I
Yes.
say treat, that's a once a year treat, is to have like a gluten free, or
Now,
an oatmeal
I got to
raisin.
tell you about another one of my favorite recipes for summer,
Okay,
and that is cooking up some quinoa,
okay.
and
And then
then
quinoa's good for you.
yes,
Quinoa's
I
so
know.
good for you.
And but then adding and then I keep a bowl of cooked quinoa in the refrigerator because then I can use it for just about anything. I can make a
Okay.
dessert out of it. I can make a savory thing. But my favorite thing to do with it is to take out some of it, sprinkle some lime juice over it, some lemon juice over it. Get cucumber, like regular cucumbers, not that long English cucumbers, but get regular cucumbers, peel them, split them open, take out the seeds, and then chop them up finely and mix them with the quinoa.
Mm.
And then you can add I can't do chives because they're part of the onion family, which I'm allergic to. But you can do like chives go in there. You can put in parsley, fresh parsley. You can put some fresh herbs in there and mix it all up, and it's a very refreshing salad to have. That's
Yummy.
good for you. But cucumbers are another one, like watermelon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do in the summer also is I like to make infused waters. So, and keep them in my refrigerator. So if you do this, it's best to use distilled water when you do them now. And so I add like different combinations. Like I love strawberry and basil. So strawberry and basil together are really yummy. Lemon and mint together are
Oh
I do
yes,
lemon, cucumber, and mint together. That one's really refreshing.
I like that
You
one.
you can do orange. You can do any kind of berry you can think of. So any kind of herb or any kind of fruit, other than like a banana. You don't want to use a banana, but citrus. Could you imagine just some bananas floating in the water? But like citrus, peaches is great. So I do make a green iced tea, and I add fresh peaches to it in the summertime, and make my own peach tea. So those are some natural ways to get like just some flavor and something yummy into you instead of drinking soda. And again, if you drink soda during the summer or anytime, it's going to really actually dehydrate you and give you extra sugars. So I stay away from that.
What about
But
sparkling water?
sparkling water is great. Yeah. Yeah, sparkling water is great for you. If you like bubbles, when you go to Europe, especially, they have all the waters, more water than we do here, it seems, on their water aisle. And you kind of have to look because if you don't know the language that the labels are in, it's like, is it regular water or you shake it to see if there's any bubbles in it?
One of my favorite mocktails to do with sparkling water is I put in 2 tablespoons of hang on, I'm trying to see the bottle. Unfiltered apple cider. I usually use the
Okay,
Bragg's version of that.
good.
So two
With the
tablespoons.
mother,
Sorry.
brags with the mother.
Yes. Um, so 2 tablespoons of that, it's got to be in a tall glass. I use like a 16-ounce glass. Then I get 2 servings of water in with it, and then add in a tablespoon of lemon juice, a tablespoon of lime juice, and then top it up with the sparkling water.
Good, yummy.
Yeah,
Yummy,
and it
super.
does shock your saliva glands, which is something that you should be doing on a regular basis. Because when I had my had a lump come up in my saliva gland, it was actually blocked, and I didn't realize how life threatening it was. And they said, okay, so you have to massage down here and back here. Um, and I'm missing 3/4 of my saliva gland on this side. So, because I've got a lump in it at one point. And they said, then you need to suck on lemon. They said, oh, and take lemon drops. And I looked at her and I said, well, I don't drink. Because the only lemon drop I knew of at the time was martini.
The martini.
She says, you need to get lemon drops and there's a help shock system. I said, but I don't drink. And she looks at me and she goes, oh, no, 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 no. These are candies. And I go, but that's a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah. I said, well, what if I do this? And I told her about my little recipe and she goes, oh, that'll work. She's actually, that sounds really good. I said, it is. So
Apple cider vinegar is great. I do at least a teaspoon or to a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar every day.
yeah. Well, I use, like I said, like about a 16 to 20-ounce glass. And I put the 2 tablespoons in the bottom, the one of lemon, the one of lime with it, and then top it up with basically a whole one of those 16-ounce bottles of sparkling water. And top it up with that, and that's really good.
That's
Very
good.
good. Tickles the nose.
I think we've given you a lot of like our people a lot of summer tips.
I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of things that you can do with the foods that are available to us, and you get those nice fresh foods. And if you can grow them, I can't, but if you can grow them, you get more. You're not putting all the pesticides on it, so you're getting more fresher food. And I will tell you this: my parents always had a really good veggie garden. And they would have like carrots and radishes and pumpkins and beans and peas and tomatoes and what else did they have on that? Squash, dwarf beans. I'm not a big fan of beans. And I can't remember, spinach and kale and lettuce, that sort of stuff. There's nothing. One of my favorite things to do as a kid was to go into the garden and just pick some tomatoes and go inside and make a fresh tomato sandwich with freshly baked. And I know that we're going back to the 70s here, people. Fresh bread, butter, fresh sliced tomato on top, and then put another piece on top that's got butter and bread on it as well, and slam it together. And those were so good. But if us
Okay.
kids were hungry, we'd just go pull up carrots or radishes, wash them under the garden tap, and eat them.
So there is something called, that sounds awesome. There's
It
something
was.
called the Dirty Dozen list when it comes to fruits and vegetables. And the Dirty Dozen list is actually a list of the most pesticides in fruits and vegetables. And and so if you can buy these things organic, it is better for you. Okay. So here's the 2023 Dirty Dozen list. So strawberries, buy organic. Spinach, kale, peaches. It's one of my favorite summer fruits. Pears, nectarines, apples, grapes, bell peppers, and even hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, and green beans. So if you can buy those organic, try to buy those organic. If you
That's because
don't,
you eat them as they are.
that's right. If you don't buy them as organic, please, please, please make sure to soak them. You can actually soak these in your sink or a bowl and just put a little, you can put a little bit of baking soda in a bowl of water and just soak these for at least 10 or 15 minutes. One of the best ways to keep strawberries is if you just get like a mason jar
Mm-hmm.
and you put your strawberries in there and you can put the lid on. Believe it or not, they'll stay fresh forever until you're done with them. So they stay for quite some time. Same with your blueberries and whatever. I have jars of fruit in my refrigerator. Another thing you can do is if you buy fresh herbs, we just went down a rabbit hole today. If you buy fresh herbs, again, I am the mason jar queen, you guys. If you looked in my refrigerator, if I went and pulled something out right now. So oftentimes we buy herbs, especially you buy them loose or you can buy them in those little packages sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I just snip the bottom ends of them and I stick them in a mason jar. So they're actually getting fed water with a little bit of water, right? And they will last for quite some time because herbs go limp pretty quickly if you don't use them. So just cut off the ends, stick them in a mason jar with some water, and stick them right in your fridge like that. And they will
That's
stay
awesome.
fresh and perky and happy. Same with asparagus. I use a taller mason jar, and you just cut off the ends and stick the asparagus right in there. Then they stay fresh till you're ready to use them. And so you're not
That is
wasting
so
as
cool.
much as well.
And
So
something I learned with asparagus is you don't need to take a knife and cut it. You just snap them.
that's true.
You just
True.
snap the ends off. Yeah.
So somebody had said, I just did a photo shoot recently, and somebody said, did you take a picture of your refrigerator? And I said, well, I think you can see the outside of it, but I never thought to open the inside of it. So the next time I do photos, I'm actually going to do some photos of my refrigerator so people can see like what I'm talking about and
And
what
so
my
when you put it, with the exception of the herbs, when you put the other things into these mason jars, do you put any liquid in there, or just
Mm-mm.
after you've washed them and let them dry out,
You
then you put
wash them
them?
and you just pat them dry with a paper towel, and then you just put them in the jar and close the lid.
That's it.
That's it.
Nothing in there.
Nothing in there.
Oh wow, that's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So that's how my berries are. Like I said, then my asparagus just sits open in a mason jar, and my herbs in mason jars. So my top part of my refrigerator, where most people keep that terrible gallon of milk, that's where I have my herbs and that kind of thing.
So I just suddenly had a thought. You were talking about oatmeal acting like gluten, so oatmeal milk wouldn't be good for you either then.
So I'm going to tell you what I tell my clients. Oat, they give oats to animals to fatten them up, and we're an animal. And so when you think of like,
Arr.
right, oat milk is really can add extra weight onto you, and you just don't really realize it. So I try to shy away from oat milk. So people will do almond milk. If you do almond milk, look for organic almond milk, because or almonds have more glyphosate than sometimes wheat does. So a lot of people will say, oh, I'm having a reaction to gluten. Oftentimes it's not the gluten, it's the glyphosate or the Roundup that is in the wheat, right? And they'll say, oh, we go to Europe and we don't have any problems. Well, they don't use Roundup on their fruits and vegetables, and out in their farms. So no Roundup. So unfortunately, Roundup is going to be banned here in 2024, but our ground is still
Yay.
saturated. But our ground is still saturated with it. And how
Yeah.
many years is it going to take to get that out of our soil? Who knows? But like glyphosate has made so many people sick. But almonds, most of the almonds are growing here in California. So, and I can tell you, they spray them. They have planes that come over and spray them and spray them and spray them. And so it's really important that if you're going to do almond milk, make sure to get the organic almond milk, because you really don't want to be drinking Roundup, honestly.
No, I don't.
So that's and if you want to go even healthier, you can do coconut milk. If you do coconut milk, make sure there's no gour gum in it.
I love
Yep.
cooking.
Yeah, coconut milk is fantastic, but you need to make sure it has
Lindsay,
no.
you got to shake it really hard to get it all mixing up together.
Exactly. But you don't want it with any gour gum or xanthan gum. Gour gum and xanthan gum are both preservatives, and they're known to help create leaky gut. And we don't want you guys having a leaky gut. So
no xanthan, that's one with the X.
yeah, it's really hard to find sometimes, but it's
And
definitely
no
worth
gour gum.
no gour gum. Those are really two really bad preservatives for us.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Nicole, we're at the bottom of the hour.
There we go. That went fast. I think I gave more
I
than
know.
5 tips, but I hope people watch this replay and hopefully you learned something today. And I can't wait
I
to
have
be
notes.
on.
I've
You
got
have,
different things to try with infused water. I've got different grains to avoid. And then I've got the dirty dozen and how to clean them with baking soda and water for 15 minutes. Just a
and if
bunch.
you want to, you can even add a little bit of vinegar, apple cider vinegar to that, and squish it around a little. And that helps clean them too. Yeah,
Interesting. But don't go drinking the water afterwards.
that's right.
So thank you again. I'm so glad we finally got to get you on this month. And you'll be back next month with some new
Absolutely.
and everything. And I will be in a new location.
I know. I'm so excited for your new location. I can't wait to see.
Oh, I'm taking guesses on the Zephyr Zoom loop. So so the big announcement is that I finally got a place, and it's got this room where you go from the living room into the den, and then there's a door at the den that goes into the hallway, and the hallway leads back into the kitchen, which comes into the living room. So I'm taking guesses on how long it takes Zephyr to learn the Zoom loop to figure it. Oh, she could do it reverse as well. But I figured it would be a good chase sequence for both of us. So
Great.
getting some exercise in with that too. Okay, well, thank you again, Nicole, and to everybody that's watching. We'll be back tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And with that, go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. I got to go take a dog for a walk in 90 degrees. Not looking forward to that. But
Take some water with you.
yeah, she needs it too. I mean, we both come back and just guzzle water down, even though I've been drinking it. Like I got a 32-ounce bottle of 32 ounces of filtered water here, and I will drink. You'll normally drink about 3 a day.
That's good.
I'm up to like 4 right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, hydration.
That's good.
So go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. I'll catch you guys back here at 6 p.m.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.